I've got the whole world in my hands. 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 Khalid's Playhouse. Hi guys, how are you? I hope you guys are all feeling blessed and highly favored today. It's me, Khalid the Spiritual Scientist, and thank you so much for being here in this present moment to join me. Guys, this is a very exciting moment, and it's actually not a coincidence that I started this at 10:10. I just realized that. That's very, very amazing. Because 10:10 for me, 10 is a number of changes and cycles, endings and beginnings. So I really do feel like that was divine timing. For me to begin this new project here. This project is going to be very authentic. It's going to be very organic. It's going to be amazing. I'm very excited to see what I can do with it. I hope you guys are excited too. I have a lot of information and a lot of thoughts and feelings and insights that I always want to share. And this is going to be something fairly new. I don't know if other people have made, I would say, like podcasts and audio books on, the topics at hand. We're going to be using oracles. We're going to be using tarot. We're going to be using different devices, I would say. I call these devices in a sense where they are a form of technology in order to enhance something. But the main thing is, the most important thing at hand is my voice, the lesson, and the information, okay? So, no, I am not doing tarot readings. I'm not a tarot reader. I can read tarot, but the objective is not to read tarot for you guys. I am an oracle reader as well. I am a psychic, but the objective is not to read for you guys, but rather share information, insight, and knowledge on the objective or the task at hand. Okay, so I definitely wanted to just start off with that. I guess I will consider this kind of like episode 1, but technically this will have a completely different podcast title because I have a specific way that I number and identify my podcasts and any of my projects. Okay, so I'll definitely be explaining that later on. I actually want to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I have my tarot cards in my hand right now, just to channel my energy and put my energy into the cards, just to make sure that, if you understand how tarot works, and if you understand how energetic manipulation and magic works, you understand that tarot is merely a psychic it's merely a medium for you to put your psychic powers into. So, for example, if I set my intentions to gain confirmation on a particular subject, depending on where my psychic source is coming from, I will be able to put that energy into the cards, and the cards will thus reveal what it can to me. But once again, you also have to have a certain level of aptitude and knowledge and intelligence in order to perceive the cards the right way, in order to get the right message. A lot of times, this is something that's very common in tarot, is yes, we may study the meanings of tarot, and then yes, we start getting into the intuitive messages behind tarot, but without a lack of organization or a lack of understanding within your own thought process or your own intuition, because yes, intuition is intuition, but intuition itself comes from your emotions. Emotions comes from the unconscious realm, and that is more of a void or a chaotic energy, a chaotic element. So without understanding how your intuition arises from that unconscious level to your level of consciousness in order for it to be perceived, thus also which will also ultimately be determined by the level of knowledge, intelligence, and intellect. That's all going to be your perception of what you're picking up on intuitively. It's only going to be merely based on the level of knowledge and stuff that you possess in order to even communicate or perceive it in the way that it was ideally meant to be perceived. So now, you'll understand that even on this podcast, we're going to be talking about perspective a lot. I'm highly driven by Gemini. Okay, my spiritual energy before it has taken form on Earth is I'm a Gemini Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Sagittarius Rising. If you do know anything about Sagittarius Rising, from what I've understand from my studies, and seeing that, astrology is the interpretation of stars. So rather than actual scientific knowledge, it's more interpretations that happen to just get confirmed, and the ones that get confirmed the most create a tradition or a habit of crystallizing within our history of astrology. Okay, because we start to notice those interpretations become reality in our observations. Okay, now from what I've been studying, Sagittarius and Sagittarius Rising, it's like a perfect blend. It's like an alchemical blend. When I think of it, it makes me think of perfect timing, balance. When you think of Sagittarius energy, you think of the Temperance card. Okay, evolution, expansion. Okay, so I don't want to talk about me and my chart, but I definitely have the Six of Sticks that flew out of my deck right here, which is giving me the green light that I can go ahead. And the Six of Sticks is also, I believe that is the second decan of Leo. So speaking of Leo, that is exactly what I wanted to get into. I've been wanting to get into this new moon in Leo energy. I want to get into the Lionsgate energy. Okay, at the bottom of the deck. And I always make sure that this is how my intuitive gifts work. I feel the energetic motion, okay, the emotion. I feel the emotion behind it, and I hear and feel the intuitive messages that are coming from that energetic motion. And from there, I also take it upon myself to look within the book, because you have to understand these different cards and stuff. They also have these artists and these creators that have made these cards as a psychic medium for us to understand our psychic abilities and what it's trying to say. They have definitions and have different interpretations of them. And so for me, I genuinely or generally just kind of glaze over the different definitions that are provided in here and see which ones match the energetic or intuitive feeling that I'm feeling with inside of me. And it's kind of like a puzzle. It's like when I finally reach that one key word in there, it kind of just clicks with the feeling that I'm feeling on the inside of me. So it's kind of like my external reality meets my internal reality and creates a mirroring effect where it's like, yes, this is exactly what I was feeling. Okay, so that is my own personal confirmation for my intuitions. Okay, and I think that's something that I want a lot of tarot readers and oracle readers and stuff start to understand in regards to getting more deep into their confirmations and the things that they're actually saying and reading, in regards to whatever it is that they're picking up on. We all can pull out cards, and yes, the images can strike our intuition to be guided to say certain things, and also the definitions and the knowledge behind the cards that are actually made can also give confirmation to our intuitions. Okay, so as long as you guys are looking at things objectively rather than subjectively in regards to what your intuitions is telling you, I definitely would say that is a very powerful thing, just to make sure that you're on the right track and you're not misguiding anyone, and you can be a lot more clear and give more insight in regards to whatever it is that you're reading, okay? Now, personally, I have felt that as I have been watching tarot, I get more confirmation than I do get guidance, okay? If anything, I kind of get the current information, and then I might get some future influences. But for me, what I'm here to do personally is I want to start getting questions arising. I want to start bringing up questions and critical thinking in order to have you guys engage and use your knowledge and wisdom in order to make sure that you are aligned with what you see fit, okay? I think this is where it's very powerful with tarot is able to give you clarification as well as guidance, but also on top of that, as readers and as psychics and as spiritualists, it's up to you if you take it upon yourself to say, hey, okay, this is what's happening in your current reality. This is what's possibly going to happen in the future if you continue to stay in this energy. But now that we understand that, what are we going to do with that knowledge and that understanding that we have of our fate, okay? Because you are in control of that. You have as much control as the universe has control of it, because you also have to acknowledge the universe inside of you. You have to acknowledge the universe inside of you, okay? And I think that's something that is very important. You have to understand that it's as above, so below, as within, so without. So ultimately, the universe and your soul is going to draw in experiences that match the energy and your desires and your mental and physical, emotional, and spiritual state of mind within, okay? So these experiences are ultimately here to teach you something, which may change your decision making, and which will also ultimately change your fate and change the road, the path that you're on at hand. And now I start to think of Eshu, the Orisha of the crossroads, or Apollo, the messenger god, or anything that has to do with decision making, Gemini energy. Because Eshu, there's a story even of Eshu where he was walking up the street and he had a hat on, and one side of the hat was one color, the other side of the hat was another color. For me, I'm seeing one side of the hat is red, the other side of the hat is black. But the people on the different sides of the streets, they began to argue about what they saw because they didn't see the other side of the story. They didn't see the other side of the man, knowing that he had two different colors on each side, okay? And that bred conflict. They began to fight and argue without understanding that, hey, they're seeing it from two different perspectives. So one thing is opposition. Opposition breeds conflict, but opposition can also breed opportunity, because from there, through that opposition, there came an understanding that, hey, maybe they may not, I'm not sure if they figured it out that the guy had two different colors on the sides of his hat. But even from us listening to that story of the conflict that was bred from the opposition of those two people on the different sides of the street, we can now have the opportunity to learn that perspective is very powerful, okay? And from perspective breeds opposition, it breeds opportunity, and it breeds a choice, the Lover's card, which is ruled by Gemini, okay? That's very important. All right, so I definitely wanted to interject and say that I will be taking notes as I speak. I also am a student. I'm a student, a teacher, and a master, but I'm learning to be more of a teacher and more of a master. And so whenever you're in the position to learn something, you are the student, okay? So that also brings on the message that no matter how much you know, or no matter how skilled you are, there's always more to learn. There's always more to expand on. Heavy emphasis on Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Sagittarius is all about the expansion of the area at hand. So seeing that it is a fire sign, naturally it's all about the expansion of the consciousness, okay? It's the mutable sign of fire, and the fire is all about the creative spark. It's all about spirit. It's all about spiritual intuition. It's all about insight. It's all about passion, okay? The drive. So this is all about the drive to expand, okay? The drive to see and witness all there is in regards to whatever the topic is at hand. So definitely check out where Sagittarius is in your charts, okay? Now, I definitely want to say how freaking excited I am about this project, how amazing it is. Seeing that I have just been open to newer ways of thinking, newer ways of tackling my objective here, and newer ways of understanding technology and stuff. I realized that everything that I needed in order to expand on my objective at hand and expand on my project itself has always been literally in the palm of my hands, and it's crazy. I just had to come to a certain level of awareness and consciousness for me to see it in that way, you know? And that was all based off of my perception and stuff. Like, it took a while for me to even get here. So I definitely want to probably just leave the podcast on that. I'm going to definitely try to leave it between 20 and 30 minutes, just so that they're not too lengthy. I want you guys to definitely get the breadth of everything that I'm saying, and so you feel more comfortable, picking up where you left off, and also soaking in the value of the information and the perspective that I'm trying to express here. You know, this is all, I would say this is all, for me, it's objective, but for you guys, it will be subjective, because you will need to understand how this is going to apply to your life. And everything that I say is not absolute. I'm not God. I don't know everything in the world, but perhaps if I can give you something to think about, or share my perspective, that will open up a newer perspective for you, or that will have you perhaps think about something else or provide another idea. So definitely, if you guys would like to comment anything in regards to how you feel about the podcast, or any ideas or anything that comes to mind as I speak, by all means share that with me, and I might even just get into some dialogue with you if I choose to. I like to work. I like to engage myself in mental stimulation. I like to engage myself in diplomatic and intellectual conversations, because I love to learn and I love to expand my knowledge and wisdom on the things that I already know, okay? Once again, heavy emphasis on Sagittarius and Gemini energy, okay? Because Gemini it rules information, it rules communication, and communication is literally the exchange of information, okay? So within that is language and ideas, thoughts, the god thoughts, mercurial, the mental plane, okay? But with Sagittarius, that is the expansion of that plane, okay? Where does that knowledge and those thoughts and those ideas, where does that take you, okay? How can you expand on that? And so it's kind of like opposites attract, okay? Because those are brother and sister signs here. Now, I definitely want to say that I'm absolutely amazed, because I don't see this as a coincidence that Mars and Venus is already in Virgo. We have the moon and the sun in Leo, which is heavy emphasis on creative energy, confidence, courage of the heart, leading by the heart, okay? Pride. But also we have Mercury going to enter Virgo in a couple of days, I believe. We have Jupiter in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius. So I feel like this is all about learning about knowledge, reasoning, the expansion of reasoning, the expansion of science, the expansion of the scientific method, the expansion of knowledge, the expansion of communication, and the way that we all come together. That's very important. Then we also have Pluto in Capricorn. So the way I'm interpreting that is shifts and changes, major changes in the practical world, the practical systems that we may be facing, business, jobs, okay? Then we have Neptune and Pisces, so heavy emphasis on intuition and being able to tap into our intuition. The North Node is still in Gemini. Feels like it's been in Gemini for a minute. So heavy emphasis on communication, heavy emphasis on technology and methods through technology, methods of communication, different ideas, communicating different ideas, sharing different ideas and thoughts, okay? And that's, okay, I think I'm looking at my transits as well. I'm looking at the transits in relation to my natal chart as well. So I want to just focus on the transits. But with this Mercury entering Virgo, heavy emphasis on precision and objective criticizing, and I picked up on improvement because Virgo was really good at improving the practical things and looking at things on a very practical way to make more sense out of it, to find more understanding in it. And Virgo is a very precise and very analytical very analytical sign. It genuinely is a little bit slower, seeing that it's an earth sign but it's governed by Mercury. But perhaps it's very important to slow down that mental plane, slow down that Gemini energy in order to fully see things precisely as they come, as the mental things come, and bring order to that, you know? Virgo, I definitely feel Virgo is a very orderly sign, and Virgo is very clean. They don't do mess. And sometimes our mental plane, just as much as our emotional plane, can get very messy and chaotic. If you understand now, once again, this is all about interpretation. So this is my general interpretation, and that's based off of the intuitions that are given to me and my imagination and the expansion of that, okay? So what I'm saying is, do you understand that air and water are very similar because they both desire to take up and fill up this space with that it's in. So it's like when you fill up, air expands, right? Expansion, heavy emphasis on Sagittarius energy. Air expands, and that's air and fire are opposites. Fire consumes air in order to expand. Air within itself expands without any other medium. It just expands within the medium that it desires to fill up, take up the space that it's in, okay? So does water, okay? So two similarities a similarity between air and water is that air and water also, they can seep and they can be filtered. It can be filtered, okay? It can be filtered through semi-permeable mediums and hopefully I'm using the definition of permeable right. Give me 1 second. Alright, so permeable, of a material or membrane, allowing liquids or gases to pass through it. So yes, I was using permeable right. Keep in mind, y'all, I'm heavily driven by Mercury, so I try my best to understand language so that I can communicate my ideas and thoughts properly, or in a way where there's less subjective. Well, once again, you can reason it subjectively, but I want to make sure that you pick up on what I'm saying objectively based off of what I'm trying to say. If you, for example, if language is very powerful, why do you think that when it comes down to slavery and stuff, they didn't allow us to they didn't allow that, African people and the black slaves that have now ended up being, sorry, I don't want to, it's a very sensitive topic, in the times of slavery, why it was very important for the colonials and the whites to Inhibit. Let me make sure that I'm using inhibit right. Yes, I was using inhibit right because yo, I'm channeling words and stuff. Sometimes I don't even know what I be saying. So I love to confirm that I'm right. It makes me feel good. And it just shows the power of intuition, the power of like perception and God. Like it's very powerful. Like I said, I don't understand all the time the meanings behind the words, but I'm very precise with my words. Vocabulary is very important. Language is very important. So like I said, there's a reason why they inhibited the slaves from learning about language and learning how to read, because that was going to, one, help them produce and help them understand and communicate their thoughts and ideas properly, and they also allow them to expand on that. Okay, they did not want them to expand on their knowledge and expand on their information and their ability to communicate and share that, because within that is very powerful. Expansion just leads to more expansion until somebody limits the expansion, until there's a blockage. But even within that, you need knowledge. You need prior knowledge, knowledge that precedes it. Because you have to understand the solution is already inside of the problem. Most of the time, you find the solution within the problem, okay? For every problem, there's a solution. And without prior knowledge, even to understand how the problem came to be, you would never be able to solve the problem. Because from there, you're able to understand why the problem happened. Now you can expand on that knowledge within itself to find the solution, okay? And that's why language and reading and literature and stuff is very powerful, okay? Because it helps us communicate and understand our thoughts. It helps us understand our internal reality, which identifies, once again, the law of correspondence: as above, so below, as within, so without. You know, that's very important. Did I want to leave it right there? I feel like I do, because I am 6 minutes past my 20-minute mark. I'll definitely try to get it within 20 and 30 minutes, like I said. I think we can leave it at that. I feel like that was a really, really good first start to the podcast. I would say I've been doing a lot of dry runs on them, just kind of doing things off the whim and allowing my passion to just take me there, take me to the pad, and just be like, turn on the audio message, turn on the audio memo and the voice memo, and just tap in, you know? But I feel like this one is a lot more organized. It's precise, it's clean, it's understandable, and I can take this somewhere, okay? So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And once again, thank you guys so much for joining me. Peace, love, and light. I love you guys so much. Namaste. Take care. Bye. Mwah.